This is John Black, super chemist. Chemistry is actually based on only one reaction. You know, there's a million reactions out there, but they're all based on one thing and one thing only, and that's electron transfer. Without electron transfer, there is no chemical reaction. That's why your valence electrons were really important to learn, because they're the ones that are going to be transferred. So that makes it nice and easy. You don't even have to learn any reactions. I mean, you do, but you're not really learning the reaction as much as you are learning where things are positive and where things are negative, so that you can have an electron transfer. You really only have two reactants in any reaction, okay? And I'm not talking about a catalyst that doesn't get used up. I'm talking about the things that are reacting. You're always going to have a positive and a negative, okay? It's all about magnets. I always think of magnets when it's positive and a negative. That's the same as north and south, yin and yang. But I want you to think about that. Just because something's positive doesn't mean that it's higher in value or higher in energy than the negative. You know what I mean? But if I have $10 or I have the number 10 and I have negative 10, someone else has negative $10, or they have just the number negative 10, obviously negative 10, the number, and negative $10 is lower than 10 or $10, right? But in this case, when you're talking about positive and negative charge, it just denotes the charge. The charges are equal, okay? They're exactly equal. Neither is higher or lower. They're equal, but they're opposite. Just like north and south. When you think of north and south, do you think one's a greater value, or you know what I mean, than the other? No, you think they're the same exact thing. They're just opposite directions, right? Most things, at least in general chemistry, are made of two things. And you could even think of it as four things. But I'm going to show you how the two and the two, they're the same. And that's an acid and a base, okay? Everything is made of acid or base, right? And an acid is just protons, and a base, well, we'll get into that. There's like 3 different acids and 3 different bases or whatever. But when you start out with chemistry, a base is OH negative, okay? Now I want you to think about that. What does a positive O and a positive H and a negative OH make? It makes water. All right. What does the positive metal and the negative anion or non-metal of an acid? What does that make? That makes a salt. Right? An acid and the base together make salt water. There's your salt and there's your water, crisscross. But look at salt water. It's just the same way, but it's exactly backwards, right? Take the proton from here, and the anion from here. You got your acid. Here you got your base. But anything in general chemistry, generally, I'm not talking about more complicated things. I'm just talking about simple chemistry. When you're thinking about things, you should always think, look at this. Look at the list. Everything has a positive. Everything has a negative. It's just two magnets. You got north and you got south. When they come together, now you got north and south together. As just like when you have hydrogen and chloride come together, they make something new. They make hydrogen chloride. So I just want you to think that, reactions are all about a positive thing and a negative thing. Two reactants trying to get together and transfer electrons. That's all every reaction is. And in general chemistry, there's only really two things, an acid and a base. Chloride, negative chlorine, right? That is, by itself, the anion. That is a base. This proton by itself, that is an acid. There's nothing you can't create without a positive and a negative. You know what I'm saying? It's like these two and these two. They're like different sides of the same coin. They're the same exact thing. They're just opposite. All you should do is each time you see something that's a compound, a chemical, first thing you should say is what part is positive and what part is negative. What part is an acid and what part is a base. Those are the first questions you should ask yourself. You know what I mean? Because no matter what it is, you're going to have a positive and a negative. The positive is the acid part, and negative is the base part. And the other thing I ask is, because see how salt is actually part acid and part base. You know what I mean? It got the chloride from here, but it got the sodium from there. See how on salt the sodium is the acid, right? But the base, you go over here to the blue part, because the base is actually made of a base and an acid. The acid part of it is the sodium. And the other thing I ask myself is, how is it like water? Because everything seems, except for salt, seems to be like water, you know what I mean? Even when you get into organic, you know what I mean? You have ethanol. Ethanol is just water, if you think about it. Water with, they took a hydrogen off and they put an alkyl group on it. Good thing is to try to see how everything intertwines and is almost the same thing but different slightly. I want you to look at this periodic table. Oxygen is right here, okay? It's in the 6th group, which means it has 6 electrons in its valence. That's the main one that you want to memorize first. You want to memorize anything on a periodic chart, memorize where oxygen is. Because everyone knows oxygen oxidizes stuff. This is, what I want you to notice is this is the right side. They are righteous. Okay, let's refer to these as people. These atoms, they're all people. These atoms over here are righteous. Well, how do you know they're righteous? Because they're on the right side. They're right. Right and righteous are same. The left side, left is always evil. In anything in the past, left is considered evil. So these people are evil. And why are they evil? Because they have electrons. And electrons are negative, right? They're bad. They're bills. It'd be like a bill. If I got a bill, I'd be like, this sucks, right? They have, like, let's say lithium. He has 1 electron. He has 1 bill. He's a mooch. He's trying to give his bill away to somebody so that he can have an empty valence shell. These over here, like the oxygen wants 2 electrons. He's willing to take 2 of your bills. I mean, that's a good guy. If someone comes up to you and says, I'm going to take 2 of your bills, 2 of your negative things, 2 of your negative assets, you're going to be like, that's a great guy. That's why these people are great. And look, these are the noble elements, the noble atoms, the noble group. They're noble, like kings. They're noble. They're righteous. And this guy's, there's only 2 away. Oxygen is only 2 away from being, that's how he's, the more you are towards the noble gases, the more righteous you are. And the more to the right you are. Okay? Now, look at this list. This list I actually did wrong. The red should be over here because they're righteous. They're on the right. They're on the right of the periodical chart. They're on the right of everything. Everything they talk and say about, they're right. This blue part should be over here. So if you copy down this list, do it the other way around. Put this part on the here and move the red to the right, because the red is righteous. The red is positive. The red, if he's giving you something, he's going to give you something that's positive, right? If he's taking away, he's going to take away something that's negative, because he's good. He's always doing something good. This side is bad. They're on the left side of the periodical chart. They're on the left of everything. They're wrong. They're sinister. They're bad. I want to reinforce that fact that these people are bad. So if they give you something, what are they giving you? They're not giving you money. They're not giving you something positive, right? They're going to give you a negative. They're going to give you an electron. What's negative? They're giving you electrons. They have just a couple, and they want to give those couple away so that they're considered noble. This side, though, which should be on the right side, and they're on the right side of the periodical, they're great. If they take away something, they're taking a bill away. If they give you something, they're giving you something that's positive. They're giving you money. They're giving you credit. They're giving you a proton. You know what I mean? And the reason why oxygen there's the oxidizer. Oxidizers are good. Why? Because they take your electrons away. They take your bills away. Or they'll give you, why is an acid great? Because an acid, they'll give you a positive proton. That's like giving you money. Why is a metal a reducer? because they're on the left side and they only have 1 or 2 electrons and they're trying to give those bills away to you. You know, an oxidizer, they're trying to take those bills, take them and pay them off for you. You know, these are and these are always, they're negative. They have negative. These people are always negative. They're always down on stuff. They're negative people. Hydride's negative, nucleophile negative, anion negative. You know, non-metal ion negative. All right, now these are your 2 reactants. Okay. Now, if you're really into chemistry, you should memorize these 2 lists. Okay. And the way I did it was to memorize 1 list because they're just opposites. Okay. You learn the 1 list, you learned them both. I chose the positive list. Here's your 2 reactants. You got a positive and a negative. Same as north and south. It's not one. They're both that same value. North, south, heaven, hell. You know, you go south to hell, you go up into the sky to heaven. That's north. It's positive. These are all positive things on this side. I always think of. These are negative. Like positive would be credit. Negative would be debt. Positive would be money. Negative would be a bill, right? Proton, electron. Proton's positive, electron's negative. These all are positive and negative in some way. And since our reactions depend on electron transfer, or a positive and a negative, these are all the same. What makes them different is how they do what they're doing. You know what I mean? Acid base, same thing. Oxidizer, reducer. An acid is an oxidizer. You know what I mean? An acid is protons. A base is hydroxide. A base is a reducer, just like a reducer is base. They're all the same thing. Metal. Why is metal an oxidizer? Or I mean, a non-metal, an oxidizer, because it needs electrons, and electrons are bills. They're negative things, right? So if they're willing to take a negative thing, then they're taking a bill from someone else. They're good. They're oxidizers. These are the positive people. If you're an oxidizer, you're a positive person. The reason why I chose this list is because oxidizer was easy to remember, that oxygen oxidizes stuff. It's a non-metal, right? So that means that the metals must be the reducers. And then it's just the opposite. The metal ion is the positive, and the non-metal ion is the reducer. Cation, anion, electrophile, nucleophile, alkyl group, hydride, carbocation, carbanion, LUMO, HOMO, delta plus, delta negative. They're all just opposites. If you memorize this list, then you automatically memorize this list, right? But as you move or progress in chemistry, you'll learn these words, and they'll seem like these new complicated words. They're the same word. They're just jamming it in a new way for this to be positive. You know what I mean? Like an acid is positive because usually it has a proton. A proton is positive, right? But an say an electrophile. An electrophile is positive because it seeks out negativity, where a nucleophile seeks out a positive nucleus. Like they're all this side on this list is all positive, or taking negative stuff from someone, and this is all negative. We're taking positive stuff from somebody. Because that's negative. If I take something from you that's positive, that's a negative thing. I'm negative. Anyways, I just wanted to help somebody that, you know, this really makes it a lot more simple than looking at chemistry like, oh, there's 50 million experiments and things to know and all these weird words. All these weird words are the same word, man. So always remember, science is great.